think we're live. Yes. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to TEPS Underground. We wanted to come here and go live to give you all a chance to hear our personal experiences, what wasn't captured on camera, and to answer any questions you may have. The thing should give you an option to submit. If not, totally understand. We'll try to make this as fun and entertaining as possible, kind of throw out some stuff that we've heard throughout the time that the show's been live from other people. And we'll probably end up showing you some of our new equipment and let you know what we're going to be doing going forward. So without further ado, Victor, Rodney,
Angela.
We investigated the house on Valley Creek. It was a very interesting place. Our camera person, Megan, she's off stage. She will be monitoring the feed if you have any questions, and we will go from there. You might want to keep your phone up and in case people message us. So I guess I'll go ahead and chime in and start. Once we got there, the house kind of like, for me, like going in and hearing the story at first, it's like you want to go in, and for us, I guess I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, but I think for the most part, we're kind of in sync with each other. We go in believing like what's being told to us, like what people are saying, and we kind of digest it, and we go in trying to figure stuff out. And then there was a point where that figuring out part scientifically just kind of went out the window when we started experiencing stuff. You guys could chime in with some of your stuff.
I don't know, for me, I being a believer, part of me is being skeptic too, because not everything is going to turn out the way we want it to. And I don't want my wife playing tricks on me, but when he started explaining this stuff, part of me was like, wow, this is crazy, believing. The other part of me, well, I don't want to believe it until I actually have some concrete evidence that whether people believe it or not, I know for a fact that we experience this stuff, and whether people believe us or not, we know what happened. We know that we try to debunk it on the scientific part of it, like you said, try to debunk it scientifically. If there's an explanation that we can give to disprove it, as much as I don't want to disprove it, I want it to be real. It's part of the investigation, and if we can debunk it, then we can debunk it, and then we move forward with that. And it was pretty crazy because when he explained the stuff to us, as soon as we stepped into the living room, I was having these feelings of, and I didn't want to say anything about it because I had so many mixed emotions going on and what I was thinking. And honestly, I didn't know what I was thinking. I was thinking somebody self-harming themselves, a fight, something bad had happened. And later on, we'll get to later after, minutes of the video, I'll explain to you what was confirmed to me by the actual owner of the house, and without me implying any of my feelings to this gentleman. So it was pretty crazy him confirming this to me without me baiting him into this conversation. So
exactly,
it was awesome.
I know for me, like when before we even started the investigation, and we were in the midst of getting everything set up, and me and Rodney were in the garage, and we were just down there and we were talking, and I believe that's when you and Megan were upstairs trying to get the camera ran through, and me and Rodney are just standing down there and we're talking. And of course there was a lot of stuff in the garage, and there was a skill saw that we kept like tripping over. So I decided, well, to keep anybody from tripping over this, because we're about to have a lot of our equipment, wiring ran through there, I'm going to move it. So I picked it up and I moved it over, out of the way. Excuse me. And me and Rodney went back to talking. Well, within 2 minutes, I heard me and him both did, because we stopped talking and looked at one another, and we both, at the same time, we looked down at the skill saw that was sitting on the ground.
It moved.
It moved, and the only,
I'm sorry, it's not funny, but
the sound
really crazy.
was, it was so,
So like metal dragging almost.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and I literally reached down, and the only way I could recreate the sound was to move it, to literally put my hands on it and move it.
Was the blade actually scraping against the concrete of the floor?
Yeah, and like I said, this was in the midst of us setting up for our investigation. And you know, I personally myself, I'm by no means a skeptic. And I say that because I have been having paranormal experiences from the age of 7 till now. And so 30 years, because I'll be 37 this year. So, you know, I have had many paranormal experiences, and, you know, as to seeing full body apparitions and everything over the years growing up. So, you know, I by no means did I come into this investigation with any skepticism, because, you know, I have dealt with so much. The things that we were told, you know, I think we all kind of looked at each other like, wow, you know. But at the same time, and this being such a small, you know, a small area that we investigated, we picked up so much activity.
right?
And it being our first investigation, you know, I don't think any of us really expected to catch as much stuff as we actually did.
Yeah, and no joke to that. I think for like a lot of like ghost hunters or people who go to investigate these type of things, you don't expect to. You expect to you go in, you want to disprove stuff, you want to see if you could figure stuff out, and if you catch something or something that you can't explain, and that goes into that paranormal side of things, then you're like, I want to try to figure it out type thing, but you don't expect to get as much. And when we were going through the footage, like 2 things stuck with me. Thing number 1, the client, Dwayne, his descriptions of the issues that he experienced. He kind of pointed us in like all these directions. He's like, the stairs, I see things looking at my camera if I put a camera down here, over here on the couch, like everywhere he kind of pointed, we were able to kind of go, okay, well, let's set up and let's look at this, we'll look at this, and that's when we caught stuff. And like going through, it was just like right off the bat, like the equipment, all the equipment picked up stuff, the audio, the laptop that was stationary that they got. But it was just unreal. And so going into this place and hearing the stories and then finding like, oh, I could see what you were talking about. It was this and this. Now, some stuff we were able to kind of like prove. There were some other stuff that got brought up. Like in the bedroom, right? We realized, okay, there's this thing's going off like crazy. The meter, yeah. And it was just like, of course, you might feel creepy if you're sleeping underneath that. Another thing that got brought up, which wasn't on the video, was like the rocks. We did some research on like, because he would have rocks that would like the fossils that he had laid out. The reason we panned on that was because one of the claims was like they seem to change, and we were able to scientifically prove that rocks dry out. They look different over time. But I think like my overall favorite thing was just like being able to listen to what Dwayne had to show us, and you could tell like it was real troubling, and it was really brave of him to come forward to ask for our help to research this. And going into this, so like I'm like weird techie, so I like, oh look, we could film, we could do this, and we could figure stuff out. That I thought was going to be my favorite part of this. And then the actual going into the investigation, walking around, seeing everything, hearing the story, and I was like, oh, this is my favorite part. But then after everything was said and done, going through like all the audio, the video, and everything, putting everything together, because I like telling the story, that was like, that's my favorite part. And then in the end, after talking to Dwayne and showing the client what we found and feeling his energy, his reaction,
Yes.
that became my favorite part.
That kind of got me emotional. I'm not gonna lie, because the emotional part, I get emotional sometimes. But my whole thing is like, I don't know how many times we told people stories about our experiences with the paranormal. Me, for one, I've never seen an actual apparition, so I'm not gonna lie about that. But I've heard voices and all kinds of stuff, and people, you know, would tell me, "Oh, you need to stop drinking. You're just drunk and this and that." It kind of hurt my feelings because I'm genuine and I'm trying to be genuine with these people, but at the same time, they're thinking I'm crazy, and it's just so upsetting. So stepping into this investigation, our first one ever, and catching all this stuff and being able to confirm to, you know, Dwayne, that this stuff is actually happening, and some of the stuff that you're telling us is actually true. You're not crazy. And you're still going to have doubters no matter what you do, whether you catch it on video, audio, or not, or physically catch an apparition, like you said. And a UFO could land in the yard right now, and you could have it on film, and people are like, "Oh my God, that's fake."
Yeah.
So yeah, being able to catch this stuff, like, but honestly, I have to say my favorite part of this whole investigation, other than being able to prove to Dwayne that he was not crazy, he's not, you know, what these people are claiming him to be, high on drugs, you're drunk, like people would say to me, you know. Other than that, my favorite part of the whole thing was, honestly, if people are going to think I'm crazy, I'm like Zach. I don't want to say his last name because he didn't approve of me to use his name, but in his video, but it's pissing this entity off. That was my.
Oh, yeah. Beep.
I can't say the word.
I don't know. Can we?
What's the language? Or getting the entity upset with me, and because
Antagonizing it.
Antagonizing.
So yeah, that was my favorite part of the video or the whole investigation, because like you said, you guys were saying that it was reading between 20 and 50.
EMF detector.
Yeah, I was reading between 20 and 50, but anytime after I did what I did to try to antagonize this thing to try to possibly draw it out, it would read over 1,000.
Yeah, which again, that's the oddity. So are we going in trying to, we're going in to try to get like readings right on the house. You go in and you get your baseline, right? So if you have this box that picks up anything electronic, I set it next to a laptop, it starts going off. If I get it next to an outlet, it'll start going off. But if I have it sitting right here and there's nothing here, and then all of a sudden, like, it starts spiking, and then especially after Rodney said, "All right, I'm going to mess with it," it started spiking even more. It's like, how can we explain scientifically that there was something right here where there's nothing here, and this meter is saying, "Hey, there's something putting off energy here"?
And then too, like, you know, and when we were all standing in the kitchen, in the middle of the kitchen, and we had a zero baseline on the EMF detector, and we're standing there and we're talking, and we're trying to, we're telling it, "Hey, look, you can speak into this, EVP recorder," and, we were asking questions. And then when the EMF detector started going insane and jumping, like, you showed in our video, for me personally, like, at one point I said, "I can feel you," because the electric type feeling that I had going on inside of my body at that moment, it like, it kind of stopped me dead in my tracks, and then that's why I said what I did, why I said, "I can feel you," because we walked all around, you don't just randomly get a feeling of like electricity in your body. That just doesn't happen. Okay, it's not logical. So personally, I felt that whatever was there, it was like right directly there with us, right in that kitchen with us, right at that moment. Because, you know, the feeling that I had inside was, it was truly unexplainable, you know. It was beyond the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And I didn't get that feeling often.
Yeah.
It was only when that EMF detector started spiking uncontrollably, you know, and it wouldn't, like, it wouldn't just jump to 20 or to 50. It was bouncing from 3 to 500 and all over the place.
Yeah, it would go up and down and it would stay steady. And to that point too, about like the feelings and stuff, it was neat because like there was a point near the end of our investigation where we were just there, and then it's like everything, like every feeling, everything just stopped.
Yeah.
It was just, it felt like a normal house. There was no issues, no nothing. It was done. And it was just like, okay, it's over. And to that point, like I can't imagine, like for us, we were there for probably like 6-7 hours. For the client, they were living there for a year and a half. I couldn't imagine like putting up with that. Some people have also said too, they've noticed a difference with like when you see the client in the beginning of the video, when we did that first shoot with him and we were going through and he was explaining, he looked so like drained and so tired and so, and then ended up moving out. When we filmed the reveal, when we went through and showed him the findings, he was like a completely different person almost. Yeah. And it just goes to show you, I mean, like his quality of living has improved greatly from removing himself from that place.
Yeah, and sometimes you definitely got to do that. You know, for some unfortunate few cases, no matter where you go, sometimes I believe people can be haunted, and no matter where you go, these things follow you, whether they're a negative presence or a positive presence. You go for the positive presence, of course. But you know, some situations, probably not in our client's situation, he was able to move and get away from it. But for some people, they're, you know, unfortunate circumstances, they are haunted people, and no matter where they go, things continue to happen. Like Angela was stating, she's had situations happen to her since she was a little girl, you know, as well as I. Like I said, I've never witnessed any kind of apparitions or anything. It's always been voice phenomena or, you know, any kind of instances. But I've been having situations since I was a little boy out in Lamar or Clovis, California, when I was about 5 or 6. When I explained this situation, when my first experiences started happening, it was crazy. It was crazy because I was a young boy and I would always sleep on the top bunk. Every night I would end up getting knocked off the bunk for some reason, even with the guardrail. But there were a few instances where I would be sleeping, and as soon as I woke up, I'd come crashing down on the bed as if I was levitating above the bed. So I can't explain that. I've had a lot of situations throughout my whole life. So this is the reason why I like doing this stuff. I want concrete evidence, not just for us, but for the people who feel unsafe at home, that feel like they want answers to their questions, whether because they don't want to feel like they're crazy or they don't want people saying negative things towards them in their situations and what they're going through. For our client, he was so excited, and that gave me a lot of joy because we handed him what we got. That explained everything that was going on to him for the most part. And, you know, looking at him and seeing his reactions to everything that he was listening to and watching through the reveal, I think he was partly happy, but he's kind of down because, I don't know, it's mixed emotions. Like, you know, I could see it in him. Like you said, he was more alive, he was more vibrant, he was more, hey, let's go out and do something, you know, that type of attitude. But in that house, before he moved out, it was like, and I hate to say this, it's kind of like he was dead inside. Like he is really like this thing was drawing all the energy from him, and it was sucking everything out of him. And he's just really depressed and stuff. You know, getting out of that house, that situation. You know, he has a lot more to life today. I've seen it in him, and that's a good thing. That's what we try to do, is try to give people that information, that proof. crazy.
Yeah.
And one thing I will add to this before, you want to say something, is yes, I did try to upset this entity or whatever was at that house. Although I went on the ledge and I tried to provoke this entity, I don't suggest you doing that. The only reason why I did it is because I felt like I was protected by God and I would be okay. And yes, I did in the spirit that they were not allowed to follow us home. They were not allowed in. They could not harm us. And that's the only reason why I do it. Do I suggest it? No.
Well, yeah, especially if you're living there. I mean, because we were there, we can do whatever we want, and we were out.
And I explained,
Yeah.
me and Rodney had talked on the way home that evening. And, we were talking about how, we were there for just a short amount of time. And, and we, with our own ears, in our own bodies, we heard and experienced what we did, and I like me and him both agreed, we felt kind of bad, going in there and pretty much stirring things up,
Right?
Any more than they already were, because, poor Dwayne had to remain there.
Yeah, he had to deal with the repercussions of us
Right.
being there.
And, I almost feel like by, when you had informed us that Dwayne had moved out, that it just got too much for him. And then I'm thinking to myself, he was able to deal with it for 1.5 years. So did us coming in there, not only help him, but hinder him at the same time, because we went in there and started things up.
Right. No, and that's a lot. That's very valid. I mean, I think for my perspective of the story of what's going on, I think it was more along the lines of imagine if you're witnessing something and you're trying to explain it to people, and most people don't buy into anything paranormal. There's people that are, like I said, there could be something that happens right then and there, and they're like, no, it was a light that bent and ricocheted off the wall, which did this. Megan, our camera person, she's a diehard skeptic, but there was a point in there to where she couldn't even believe some of the stuff because it didn't make sense.
Anything that made it on the tape, I couldn't find an explanation.
And that's the thing. And even though we were excited, this is like our first investigation. We ended up we were looking at this evidence, trying like everything to disprove it. If you could imagine, if we did like 6 to 7 hours of recording per device, there were 4 video cameras running, 2 handheld cameras, 3 audio recorders, the laptop. That's a lot of stuff to go through.
Right, and the still camera
And
footages.
everything. We ended up having to just go through all that.
And what I really liked, what you were able to do was, with the time and the footage, you were able to pinpoint, okay, so this was not only picked up on the EVP recorder, but it was picked up on this other thing at the same time too. And the laptop, for instance, the laptop with the Kinect camera that we had sitting mobile, that laptop absolutely blew me away. The amount of sounds that it
The
picked
microphone
up.
on that bad boy is hardcore. I think we have a question.
We actually do have a question. One of our fans is wanting to know when our next case is.
Oh. Get us to our next investigation, because this is like, I'm only speaking for myself, but I'm pretty sure all of us agree that we are just anticipating our next investigation, because it's not just for us, it's for the fans and the loyal subscribers and followers of the East Town Paranormal Society, that we really I wish we could leave tonight and go do something like Waverly Hills or the gates of
Good job. Good job.
You say hello.
Anyway, my mouth is rated PG, so I'm not trying to be responsible here. But yeah, like that, you know, I'm thinking of like all these like
Places.
Yeah.
That people go to.
We were standing outside, you know, and smoking before we went live, and me and Ronnie were talking about, like I have all these hardcore places in my mind that I want to go, like the Stanley Hotel, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
I want to go to the Conjuring House.
Anywhere.
Like, I told Ronnie the Conjuring House is up for sale. I would give anything to buy it. I would live there. Okay? I'm okay with that.
But to answer your question, we have some people who've asked us questions. We don't have anything scheduled yet. We have people that have submitted video. Some of the stuff that you guys don't get to see. So there's a two-parter. So we do things legit and legal. So whenever we go to like a location, there's paperwork where it's a release. Everybody that's on site writes a release. So if something was to happen to one of us on site to the property, everyone's legally safe and covered. Some of the stuff you don't get to see. People submit video footage, pictures. We've had a bunch of stuff submitted to us that we can't put on the thing
Without permissions.
And so in the end, we're here to help people. That's our first and foremost thing. The being able to show everybody else what we're doing is secondary. We have some people who've hit us up to ask questions and experience stuff, so we're just waiting on them to get back to us if they would like us to. We will, the second we get something scheduled and get it all locked into place, you all will be the first to know, right?
Yes.
I'm working daily on trying to get leads. I had a guy hit me up yesterday who was part of a paranormal research team, and he wants to help us get more viewers and followers on YouTube for our YouTube channel.
So if you guys know anybody or anything, definitely let them know about us. 'Cause right now we're just word of mouth mostly.
Right, and we take part in, we're part of all these different groups on different haunted paranormal research teams, haunted abandoned places in Kentucky and other states. Me and Rodney both, we have shared so many times to all of these different groups. And that's where this guy just randomly hit me up yesterday on Facebook. Right, and we actually joined a group that this lady got on Facebook. I cannot remember what her name is, but she has this. They do giveaways for paranormal ghost hunting equipment.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we're going to be talking about equipment here in a minute. So.
All right. So we have a comment and a question. Somebody was commenting, I'm not sure I agree with provoking the entity. As Angela said, you guys get to leave, but the homeowner has to remain. I urge you to please be careful when provoking spirits if the homeowner does not have a way out of the situation.
And 4.
And we do have another question. It says, did you find anything that may have invited a spirit in?
This is what I talked to Victor here, and I don't really want to put too much out there. Sometimes people, I believe, in my experience, that some people either purposely invite these things to try to prove that these things are here with us,
Or not.
Or some people unknowingly do this. Some people will go as far as, and I'll put this out there, years ago when the Ouija board first came out, it's been out for a long time. People didn't know by playing with this Ouija board that, that they would invite these evil, maybe positive presences, they didn't know that, but now people are starting to, you know, gain that information that these are things are not something that everybody should mess with. Yeah, also, as well as something as simple as playing in the mirror, the Bloody Mary thing. You never know, because some people believe that a mirror is another gateway to another dimension. So by standing in front of the mirror and saying Bloody Mary, whether Bloody Mary comes out or not, something else might come with it. It's just all, it depends on everybody else's belief. Me, I do not like mirrors. I turn them around, I cover them. Don't like them.
There is possibilities that there was a vast majority of objects in that place, in such a small area. You know, and I had, which we brought it up with the client, with Dwayne, what I had happened to see in the garage. You know, who knows what all's down there,
Right.
but because there was stuff on top of stuff down there, you know. Different objects can be connected to a spirit, and you never know. And it wasn't just, he even told us it wasn't just his stuff in there. He had people staying upstairs with him. Some of the stuff was his brother's. Some of it was, he said when we went over to do the reveal, some of it was his grandmother's. So there was a vast majority of stuff in there. Could something in that house possibly have been connected with a spirit? Most definitely. We weren't able to pinpoint anything. However, we did make sure with Dwayne's claims of the couch and him seeing spirits and shadow figures on the couch very often. That's why we decided to take the Connect camera, our SLS camera, and set it up mobile in the living room, directly facing at the couch. And in doing that, what do you know? We did catch something. Now, can I say that it's, or can we even say that it's connected to that couch specifically? We don't know.
Yeah.
Like there was a vast majority of different things.
So much activity in so many different locations.
Yeah,
Right. And
definitely.
it was, you know, like I said, who's to say that, you know, and people themselves can be connected with spirits and not know. You know, and who's to say, like Dwayne had said, you know, he never started having any of these issues until he started hearing knocks at his door.
Right.
And then, you know, Megan, you had asked him, well, you know, when you opened your door to approach whatever was there at your door, did you invite it? Did you say, you know, and at that point, Dwayne had told us,
He didn't say come in, but he was saying come and get me and things like that.
He was provoking whatever was there. So at that point, you know, he could have very well
Invited it in.
provoked this, you know, provoked a spirit or something otherworldly that he can't physically see, and then, you know, after that, it's continuously giving him issues because, okay, well, you wanted me, here I am, you know.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
All right, so we have a couple more questions.
One of them.
We got, have you noticed plants dying in haunted locations?
Not me personally. That's a good thing we can look for. Do you all know about that?
No, I've never, I was thinking of E.T. No, but I don't know. I know that these things apparently, you know, through research and all this stuff, that this stuff feeds off of energy, whether it's a physical energy or it's energy from an appliance or an SLS camera or batteries in your SB7 spirit box or whatever. Like you have that many.
Well, yeah, I know we lost so much.
That's actually the next question is any battery drainage or equipment failures during activity?
Yeah, a lot.
This is the weirdest. So again, I come into it. My thing is tech. I like technology. I like all the stuff that we had. Like I've had for a bit. I've messed with. I've had on like the reader, right? I knew that was legit because I've had that thing sitting on my table at home on nothing, right? And I've even took it to work. I've like made it go off at places, but like if it's showing a 0 and I've left it on the table for hours and it doesn't do anything, kind of tells me it's a pretty good piece of equipment.
Right.
This place was strange.
I'm just joining
The,
commenting.
Oh, cool. This place was strange because here was the weird thing. I've never had so many issues with my equipment. Cameras died. Yeah, we tested
Everything before going.
Prior to leaving our underground little layer here.
Yeah.
And the first thing initially that happened was once we got the cameras, the DVR cameras set up.
DVR cameras.
They went out too.
They went out.
Two of them went.
out. We tested them. Everything was functional. I had them labeled. We have a couple that were.
And then we had to keep swapping them out throughout the night.
Because they kept going out. I popped in new wiring for the DVR because we ran wires. Now we've fixed that since then. Yes.
Got brand new one.
But the camera died. I had to change the batteries on that. 9-volt batteries. So we do a safety check to make sure that there's no gas emissions, right? So we got a gas sensor. It's I've tested it. I've plugged it up. I took it next to our gas stove, turned on the gas stove without the fire, put it next to it. Thing starts beeping like crazy, right? So I know this works. 9-volt batteries. I don't know if you all had the fun of dealing with these. Those things last forever.
Yes.
Took it into his house. We did our walkthrough. The battery died. So I had to plug it up. Our video cameras, our handheld cameras, lithium-ion batteries, charged them all the way up to the point of us leaving for the investigation. Boom, nothing. So yes, batteries, no tomorrow.
Yes.
And we have another question.
Yeah, we got questions and comments rolling in like crazy now. All right, so 2 questions. Are you guys superstitious? Do you guys do anything before going into an investigation to help prevent having the spirit attach itself to you?
Oh, I'll start and then we'll go down the line. Superstition. I'm sort of in the middle ground, right? So me personally, I try to I look at things logically. I look at things like I don't like throw salt behind me. I don't freak out about crossing or splitting poles. I don't do anything like that. Everyone else does. For me, I believe that there's something there that we haven't really studied as well as we could have because we as a society throw it off as nothing. The majority of the world thinks like, oh, you believe in ghosts, you're insane. There's something there and there's a lack of study behind it. That's one of the reasons why I want to further this. That's why I love to find out, oh, you're experiencing this. Let's see if we can experience it too and catch it. So what was the other part of the question?
Do you do anything before to stop it from attaching to you?
I think I'm more scarier than most of the ghosts that were just I don't think they're going to mess with me.
What spirit would want to mess with the guy with the compact?
Right? I look like Brandon Reddington from Black Books.
Well, and we also all believe in God.
Yeah.
We have a high belief in that, so that we bring with us as well.
I think that's one of the reasons why when I enticed this thing to come out, it got so upset because personally I think it wanted to do something to me, but he knew, or whatever this spirit was, whatever this entity was that I have a high belief in God, and then no matter what happens, no matter what situation I'm in, God's always going to protect me, and God is not going to allow something to attach itself and to harm me. That's just my fundamental belief that God is everything to me. He's higher than my girlfriend. He's higher than my friends. He's higher than everything. Everything that I do is based solely on what he would want me to do. So in believing in that, I still get scared. Don't get me wrong. I still get nervous and scared. But in the long run, I believe my higher power God is going to protect me. And he's not going to allow me to be harmed or have something attach me and to bring that with me where it's going to attach itself to other people. So.
I myself, I'm so into superstition. Now there's some things that got kind of pushed over the limit, you know. I have, you know, I was raised a certain way. So, you know, the old wives' tales and by my grandmother and, you know, don't walk under a ladder or, you know, the whole black cat situation. Now that's a little absurd. Black cats personally, you know.
We had one and he ran away.
I know, it kind of upset me. He was our little vampire cat. But he, you know, I really like to, before we go into an investigation, I like to, you know, to myself, I pray. And, you know, and I ask God, my higher power, whatever anybody wants to consider it. I ask him to, you know, to watch over me and our team and, you know, and that's pretty much the gist of it, you know. Whatever happens.
All right. So we also had another comment saying that plants have trouble living around high EMF, and Dwayne, actually, our client, commented that they tried to grow house plants, but they would die quickly. So
now, could it be that these entities are not just, you know, using us, our physical energy, or the energy of the SLS camera? Can they use these plants as a source of energy? That's never been spoke of, and if it hasn't, never heard of it. But is there a possibility? I think anything's a possibility. But to be able to sit down and actually say, yep, they're using it as an energy, I cannot say that because
I've never tested that. That's a theory, though. I could test. I mean, like, I can get the reader, and first off, I don't have a green thumb, so we'll be.
I don't think we can post it without a green thumb. All right. So then we had another question. Do you worry about spirits following you home? And if so, how would you deal with it? Of course, we've already answered that with, we all have a high belief in God, and we don't believe that anything can follow us home because of that.
And I got all this equipment here at home, so then it would be so
you would know.
Yes, definitely.
Personally, our the environment where we live, we've used our own equipment. You know, there's history behind our home, and we've actually caught something on our SLS camera, our Connect camera, as well as we have caught a couple different EVPs in our home. So, you know, whatever's in our home, it doesn't bother us.
It lets us know that it is there, though, multiple times.
No, and that's why I love this place. So I've done, like, whenever we move into a new place, like, I'll always check it out and I'll do my thing. And then I'm like, okay, nothing here. I feel great. And so it's a good testing zone. It's like, all right, let's test this piece of equipment out and see.
Yeah, definitely.
Next.
So we've got a lot of comments and a lot of things going on. We also have a comment that the two most haunted places in E-Town is the Masonic Lodge. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly. And the Hardin County History Museum. Dwayne disagrees. He says it's not the number one.
I will give you guys an experience about the Masonic Lodge, okay? And I will put this out there. I am part of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been sober for 7 years. Yes, County Drug Court graduate back in 2015. So part of that was we had to attend meetings and stuff. And for a short period, we were actually was able to do a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in the Masonic Lodge. Now, we were upstairs and we were actually in the sanctuary. A lot of people said, well, you're not supposed to be there. And I was like, I'm an innocent bystander. I was there for a meeting. But there was one situation where we were there, and from what I heard, and I can't prove this or disprove this, is that there is a spirit there that does not like women. Okay? Wow. So one day we were having a Narcotics Anonymous meeting inside the sanctuary. We're actually up there where everybody sits in the seats that is part of the Masonic Lodge. And inside the Masonic Lodge where they have, no disrespect, I don't know if it's an altar or whatever it is, but when they're standing in front of it, you look toward the exit of the building, there's two doors. There's one on each side. And at the same time, they both slammed. Now, that, we all stopped and we did look in there and we're like, wow, okay. And we continue with our meeting, but you know, it is like, okay, there's something here.
The instant creepy vibes.
That was not our purpose of going there, but we did experience something as a group.
To that point, we right now we're just trying to build ourselves up so we become more of a name out there. I'm sure you guys seen the Hummer driving by if you see it. We're trying to get our name out there. So if you do know anybody who has any access, we do things legit and legally. So we need to get the owner's approval, and of course we schedule everything out because of our day jobs.
We're not rich.
Next.
We do have another question. It's, do phones work for EMF detecting and things people say they do?
So that's like a fine line for me personally. I say this thing here, all it is a voice recorder. There's nothing mechanical to it except the fact that it takes a timestamp, it creates a WAV file or an MP3 file, and that's all it does. It can't, phones do have that same function. Phones have audio recording capabilities, personal experience.
I don't think anything on a phone could do an EMF though. I think you
Oh,
actually
yeah,
have
well,
to.
some do. They right?
This is my experience because, you know, me and I
I'm thinking EVPs. Where was I going? I don't know. That's why we buy the actual equipment. But
Yeah.
some phones have sensors. Right?
some do have sensors. I tried to download multiple applications and multiple things for EMF, night vision, anything in that instance. But I'm not going to say they work or they don't work. Me personally, if I have the money and the funds available, I'm going to go out and buy the real deal.
Right.
That way,
Just try to make sure that we have the real equipment, just because we know it works, we know it's legitimate.
Yeah, and nobody, because where I use the application on my phone to do the EVPs. Now, we had used multiple things that would just count. Okay, maybe that's just that program, but then we had it happen on so many other stuff that we were using that we could kind of debunk that, hey, it actually happened. It's saying what it's saying.
But also for us too, it gives us an opportunity to test different things. And so and while we're there, we go in with different groups, different sessions, different teams, and we're not always activating the same stuff. Is there any apps out there? I don't know. We could test. Probably the best way you could test it is, I know for a fact if I get this and I go up to an outlet with it, it'll start freaking out. If you get your phone app and put it next to an outlet and it starts freaking out, that's a good sign that it's picking up something.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we did. We did. When he was using that the app on his phone that night, we did. Yes, we took the EMF detector because we started getting a spike when we were trying to communicate, and we checked that was when we were in the kitchen. We checked every logical explanation for the EMF spike. We even checked the phone, checked the EMF detector next to the phone to make sure that the phone itself wasn't giving off some kind of EMF reading.
Freak out our reading.
So yeah, like you said, Victor, with any of the apps for like the EMF detection or anything like that, the best way to logically prove whether it might work, because I'm not saying that it will, would be to do like you said and test it. Test it next to an outlet, test it next to a light, anything that's going to logically give off any type of EMF reading.
Yeah.
It should, if the app was going to work, it would work when you do that.
And also too, I mean, like, your phone is another key component too. This phone is like a $20 burner phone. I guarantee you it doesn't have any sensors. I can barely turn the thing on.
You know what I was going to say too? about before, whenever we get a chance, about the whole situation with the feelings and what I was thinking. So one of the things was like going into the house, because I don't want to forget, because this is a crucial experience for me. It was, you know, I don't want to say, oh, you know, I'm sensitive, or I don't want to say that, you know, I can see and feel what others don't. You know, I don't want to go that far, but I will say that when I did go into the house, into the living room, I was getting like butterflies in my stomach. I was getting all these mixed emotions, like somebody harmed themselves, but maybe somebody didn't harm themselves, you know, and I was getting all these mixed emotions. And at that very moment, I was in Dwayne's shoes. Man, I don't want to say it because people are like, you're crazy. You need to stop getting higher, whatever the case may be, whatever people will say to you in this situation. So I didn't want to say it. And then at the same time, I didn't really know what I felt. Like my mind would jump from one thing to the next. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? So, you know, thinking all this stuff with this, you know, somebody might have harmed themselves or something really bad happened there. So me and Angela was actually downstairs, and I don't remember if it was around the time that we had the whole skill saw situation where it moved, and we looked at each other and we was caught off guard, you know. You know, the owner of the actual property, which is the client's brother, he had come into the garage and he had started speaking with us, and without me bringing up how I was feeling when I went into the living room, or trying to entice him with any kind of conversation, he out of nowhere came out of nowhere and said, yeah, you know, there was a story about this house and this is not confirmed, so I don't want to have people say, well, this is what happened there, and you know, this is what TEPS said. I just want to let everybody know this is not confirmed, so whether it's true or not, I don't.
Well, we did try to research the property.
Yeah.
And it has had a lot of owners of the
Yeah.
way back. It's from 1927.
1927.
Yeah. So without enticing him or bringing up the whole thing with what I was going through, the mixed emotions and stuff, and what I was thinking inside my head, the owner's brother did come out and said he had heard a story that was not confirmed yet, that a man and his wife lived at that location where our client did reside before he did move on. Their wife and a husband did get into an argument, and the husband decided to go downstairs in the garage and was yelling up at his wife, his girlfriend, whatnot, talking to him in the other room, and kept telling his wife or his girlfriend that if she didn't come down, he was going to hang himself. And she didn't believe him. She didn't listen to him. Like I said, this is not confirmed yet, but she wouldn't come down, and he kept telling her and said, if you don't come down, that I'm going to hang myself, I'm going to end my life. Well, unfortunately, if it is confirmed, you know, he did end his life that night. We heard that it was on purpose, but then we also heard that it was an accident. But whether it's true or not, the man did apparently lose his life that night, which is sad. I don't think anybody should lose their life over any kind of situation like that. But
I think the neat part is like he came in feeling like this, like emotionally,
Yeah.
and then to have somebody like say, well, this is what I've heard on this property, and that's like, oh, so it kind of gives you like, well, I felt this, and then sure enough, the story reminds to it. More questions.
All right, so next question. Have you folks used a MagnaProbe yet?
Is that thing that shoots the electricity? Or is that the thing?
no, those are the little wire things. I've never used those. But what is specifically the MagnaProbe?
I am not sure. I've never heard of it. So
we have researched.
No, those are dowsing rods.
Those are
right there.
dowsing
Those are dowsing rods.
Google that
Where
real
you
quick.
hold them, they're supposed to guide you or whatnot.
all right. So while Victor's looking at that to see what exactly it is, a MagnaProbe. We're gonna go to the next question. How long have you been interested in the paranormal? Angela, you want to go ahead and start this?
I can honestly say that I have been very interested, very intrigued by the paranormal since I was probably about 10 years old. And I say that because at the age of 7, I had my first paranormal experience. I actually seen a full body apparition at the age of 7 years old. She was, and I call it a she because it was a female spirit that hung around and more or less haunted my aunt's old farm property. And, you know, I seen her full body apparition in front of me at 7 years old. And I had experiences with the same apparition times later, being in my aunt's house, the lights turning off and on, a basketball bouncing down the stairs and landing at my feet, you know, and, you know, as the years have went on, when I was 18, my mother passed away. And do I believe, I believe in like residual, different types of hauntings. Residual hauntings being a spirit residing in a home. They don't know they're there. They don't know they're a spirit. They don't know they're going on with their everyday lives. I feel that the home that me and my stepfather lived in, which was where my mother lived before she passed away, I've had experiences after my mother passed away, and it was residual haunting experiences. Not my mother trying to contact me or anything of the such, but, you know, lights coming on, footsteps up and down the hallway type stuff. At first made me feel like I was kind of losing my mind, kind of crazy, but, you know, at the same time, I was like, hey, you know, she's still here, you know, doing her everyday thing, and I'm okay with that, you know. But like I said, since about 10 years old, the paranormal and everything about it absolutely intrigues me. I want to know more. I want to contact spirits. Not so much the bad ones. If I come across them, okay, so be it. We'll deal with it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But there is more to this world, and I want to be able to experience that. I want all of us to be able to experience that and be able to answer people's questions.
Right. Oh, and the question again was?
How long have you been interested in the paranormal?
Honestly, you know, I've had experiences, like I said, you know, since I was a little kid. But the most profound situation that's happened in my life, there's a couple of things, and this is, you know, that made me a real believer. I mean, like I said, I've had experiences, but these two experiences are the most profound, and they happened here in E-Town. This was not long after we separated from Taco Bell, when you was actually my manager. You were a cool manager, by the way. We were a nice shift there. But one of my situations that happened that made me a believer and made me want to dive deeper into this. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't living a good life. So that was my most profound moment where I was having these things come up and made me lean on God more. But I was, if people are watching this and they remember this location on Dixie and Ring Road, there used to be a 5-star on the corner. Behind 5-star was an abandoned house. And when I was homeless during the winter of 2011, that was the only location that I knew of where I could stay and not freeze. Because I'm from Los Angeles. I have no immediate family out here, you know. And my ex-wife ended up leaving me. And I ended up having to live in an abandoned house for about 3 weeks before I was able to get a job here in E-Town and was somewhat getting back on my feet. Anytime I would walk in this house, I would feel like I was not alone. I knew something was there. I couldn't tell you who it was, what their name was, what they looked like. I couldn't tell you. I just knew. I felt this energy that something was there with me. And what happened was, anytime I would go there late at night, when nobody would see me going to this location to go to sleep, I would go throughout the house to make sure I was the only individual there. I was always by myself. And one night, and it scared me, I ran out the house. But because I had nowhere else to go, I went in there and moved myself to the next room. The spirit, I don't think it was evil, but one night I got off of work and I went there, and for some reason I could not sleep. And finally, a couple hours later, about 5:30 that morning, I fell asleep. And I woke up. And I woke up to a lady whispering in my ear. She either said, die, died, or dies. And her mouth, I swear up and down, her mouth was probably right about there. And it was clear as day. And it woke me up out of my dead sleep, and I ran out. And I told myself it's wintertime. So this is part of the story of what happened here. So I ended up going back to the house because I had nowhere else to go. So I moved myself to the next room. I went to sleep. Woke up the following afternoon, went to work, came back, moved myself to the building across the way. It used to be a big white building right there next to the car lot place, which is next to Aldi's right here in Newtown. So I moved myself into that building. It's the white building, used to be a salon building. I got in there and I was sleeping in there. And one night, for some reason, I don't know why, I just woke up and I jumped up and I started putting my hands in there and started praying real loud. And I was telling myself, if you're an evil spirit, I command you to leave in the name of Jesus. If you're a good spirit, stay here and protect me. And it was crazy. So I was going through all this stuff. I started crying and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is happening? And I did this for about 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And finally, it stopped. And I wiped my eyes off. I laid down and went to sleep. And from that following morning on forward until I moved out of that place, a cardinal showed up every morning. At the same time, it would show up. It would bounce around on the ledge and it would fly in the window, claw at the windows and stuff. It did this every day until I left. Well, about a month after I had left that building, I was working for a company next to Acapulco. And my supervisor called me into the conference room and says, hey, I need to talk to you. Well, he eventually got a call and he had to leave. And he asked me to just sit there and wait until he came back. So I'm sitting there like, man, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to get fired? Why did he call me here? And out of nowhere, I hear this noise. So I'm like, I happen to look up, and it was part of flying into the window. So those moments right there really, it was like, man,
into you because it's like,
yeah,
started.
Yeah.
For me, God, I think like I started, well, when I was younger is when similar experiences, right? We lived in, so we're both from California. You know Moreno Valley, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so my mom and dad had rented a home in Moreno Valley, and I was like in like 7th grade. And so I had no idea what paranormal was. I was a kid, and so, but it was scary because it's like when we moved there, because prior to that I've never experienced anything scary, but here it was just like always this weirdest stuff would happen, like toilet seats would open and close on their own. There was one time that really stuck with me. It was just like me and my dad were watching TV, and there was like a balcony looking over, and mind you, at this point we've experienced stuff. He experienced stuff, and we both were talking, and then something caught us on the corner of our eyes. We both looked up, and we're like, "Did you see that?" And it was just like from there. That's when I think I started like trying to research and dabble into more understanding of paranormal stuff, and then personal stuff happened between here and there. I mean, like.
We would have to do a full video, a full live event just for the previous.
We got a lot. I mean, like it's weird. I think once you open your eyes to something, you can't.
In your mind.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like now I'm. Ever since then, it's just like now I'm more adept and more like I notice that stuff. So.
For me, I have a mother who has been interested in this forever. So most of my life, I have had her influencing me and helping me to be interested in it. I definitely remember her taking me we would go to graveyards and things like that. As far as personal experiences, I don't remember too many when I was younger. I don't really remember too many personal experiences until I actually got with Victor. And once me and him started dating and things, I actually had a personal experience where we were living, and he recorded me a nice, wonderful little video, being all sweet and everything. And then at the end of the video, when he goes to turn the camera off, you can hear something saying my name.
And it was creepy too.
And I still have that recording.
Yeah, it was like a razor phone, and the voice was like, Megan.
Yes. it was creepy.
Which, mind you, that place where we were at,
there was a lot of things that happened at that place. All right, so next question. Dwayne is actually wanting to know, why do you think there were so many spirits there?
Well, honestly, it's been there since 1927. Well, there's a lot of things, multitude of things that could have happened during them since 1927.
Right.
You never know if people could have lost their lives, or in the in the sequence with where we heard the story, it hasn't been confirmed yet, that somebody's life had ended there over an accident and whatnot. So
Right.
The residual stuff too. I
Right,
mean,
and then,
like how many?
right, then too, and this is all, I guess hearsay. I do want to do, not specifically, on that property, but that general vicinity of Valley Creek Road, the Valley Creek Road area.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do some historical research
Mhm.
because, we were talking, me and Rodney were talking with, one of our tattoo clients, because we do tattoos. We had a client over at the house, about a week or so ago, and, the client's husband, we were talking to him about our investigation, and his grandmother and a lot of his family have owned property on the Valley Creek Road area, okay, for years. And he had proceeded to tell us that a lot of the area before the new Valley Creek Church, the brick church, a lot of that, the whole front end part of Valley Creek Road was war ground back in the day, as well as somewhere in that vicinity on the front half of Valley Creek Road, it's been said that there was some kind of Indian burial ground that was built over. So, with all that being said, I want to dig down deep.
Try to
and
find
I
the facts for that
want
history.
And find
Yeah.
the history.
to do some historical research, because if that is the case,
That could explain a lot of it.
that could definitely explain a lot of it.
Because like I said, you never know what could have happened at that property.
With how long it's been there, yeah.
with the whole,
Yeah.
the tribal thing with possibly Indian burial grounds or anything like that, anybody that follows, paranormal research or anything for that matter, Indian burial grounds are very sacred to the Indian people, and they don't like it being messed with. I'm too part Indian, by the way. They don't like it. They don't like it being messed with. That is sacred land. It depends. I wouldn't be offended if somebody was doing an investigation or something like that. But it's very sacred land, and they take to heart. So,
All right, so we got another one. Do you all think it's possible an evil spirit could come through posing as a loved one to fool you?
yeah, definitely.
I mean, like,
You gotta be careful.
you have to be careful because, I mean, you never know. You never know.
You never ever want to invite anything in purposefully,
I mean, like,
even if you think it's a good spirit.
like, and it is sad too. I mean, like, if you feel like the loss of a loved one, right? You got to think about that. I mean, you never will truly know, right? Until so.
Right.
You just gotta be safe. You gotta take precautions. Take everything for a grain of salt.
Exactly.
Yes, most definitely. And like, I
Not to say that that's always what it is either.
Right.
Because there could be. You never know,
Right.
right? But you just need to keep your guard.
When you do research on paranormal, any type of paranormal research, as far as contacting spirits and contacting loved ones or what have you, you have to go about it in the right sense. You have to go about it in the right way. A lot of people that I've seen and talked to over the years, the first thing that they want to do is, let's do a seance, or let's play with the Ouija board. I want to don't do it. I have even said I want to play with the Ouija board. Probably not a smart idea.
No.
He told me no. We'll see where that goes in the future.
My mom liked to play seances a lot.
Now, I have done a seance before, back when, I was 15 years old. And there were some interesting results from that. I do believe in stuff like that, but you know, at the same time, you have to be careful.
All right, so next question. Being people of religion, why do you think some spirits move on while others remain? And do residual spirits have unfinished business, or what could the purpose be of them staying behind?
For me personally, residual spirits are people that could previously own the house. And this is one thing that's been studied and I guess proven to be a proven fact that like I had asked our client, you know, had they started doing renovations to the house, had they started moving things out, had they started, you know, taking things out the house and throwing out in the trash and whatnot, because spirits, whether they're connected to the house or whatnot, or connected to the land, they do not like their property being messed with, because they still feel that they're the owner of the house. And then here comes our client coming in and starts debasing the value of their house, the property and stuff. It starts stirring up these spirits, and they start getting unhappy sometimes. And that could be the reason why they're still there. It could be a multitude of things, but I mean, if I was to pass away, honestly, and somebody started coming in there, and I don't, whether I know I'm still here or not, I might get upset if somebody starts moving this stuff over here. I do it now, so imagine if somebody.
I think for me, I mean, it is a fine line. This is what I think. This is why we're trying to do what we do. We're trying to get answers, right? Religion, right? I think like a lot of the times it's like people believe if you die, when you die, you're absent from the body present with the Lord, or like when you die, you ascend to heaven. Or some people believe in like if you die, if you have something that's unfinished, you're like in a purgatory or whatever.
In limbo.
There's one thing that's guaranteed: not anybody alive here can tell, right?
Exactly.
So who knows, right?
That's one reason why we do this, is to kind of see if we can get any answers.
And we find out.
Just our theory.
And there's a lot of different theories as well, you know, as not as paranormal, not as ghosts or spirits or anything. You know, there's a lot of things. A lot of people believe that there's a rift in a space-time continuum. Maybe you're picking up something from a different time rather than actual ghosts or spirits. You know, so there's a lot of different theories and things behind it. Of course, there's a lot of things that we'll never be able to explain. There's just a lot of things that you just have to believe. It's all based on belief.
Go in with an open mind to any situation, but whatever helps you sleep at night, whatever helps you feel right, whatever you feel in your heart, believe in that. Definitely.
Victor, we got a comment that you're gonna love. I really love Victor's choice of wardrobe.
I wanted to look the part. I wear this to work, so it's convenient.
He dresses like this all the time, wherever he goes.
You remind me of the guy, not maybe the older guy from maybe like, what is it, Phantasm or?
Oh God. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to. I think if I'm trying to push anything, I've been told
Blacklist off of Netflix.
Raymond Reddington.
Yes, that's where he got his look from.
I do this entertainment value for you, the viewer.
With the spirit stuff, you know, what was the question about following us or?
Yeah, to that point earlier, yeah, if something would follow you, what would you do? And like I said, I would have fun. I would be like,
He's classy.
Once you open yourself up to that, I kind of guess you're stuck with it. Once you like, it depends on.
Not necessarily. Like, okay, for instance, you know, and we did talk to our client, Dwayne, about, you know, if had he ever had any had anyone other than us come into his home, as far as like a chaplain or a priest, or have anyone come in and bless his home.
Yeah, he said that he did have that, but it didn't seem to work. Yeah.
Right. So, you know, sometimes, and that too, that in a sense could be a lot to do with the the history of that place.
Mhm.
But if a spirit was to follow you home, I'm sure there would be multiple ways to tell, equipment or no equipment. But there's easy ways of getting your home blessed or things of that nature.
All right. So we're coming up to almost an hour and a half of doing this, so we want to start wrapping it up. Just gonna read a couple more comments that we have here. We have a comment that says, "I love seeing new paranormal teams sharing common interests. We are still in the pioneer stage of the paranormal. With more and more people showing interest, maybe, just maybe, if we share ideas, we can progress to the next stage." Definitely agree, 100%. And then he also commented, "You will notice that around residual hauntings, you will find something called ferric oxide, around a fancy name for rust. The name, same way a VHS type works, a playback of time, but occurs naturally." They also commented that they have been researching paranormal for, sorry, I lost that comment, many, many years. So this is coming from, 23 years of research for paranormal. So he's definitely got a lot of good ideas and a lot of things. He's the one that was asking us about the Magna probe. I told him we're still researching equipment. So any ideas, any suggestions for new equipment, definitely let us know. Are there any more questions? Anything else that anybody would like to get out there before we wrap this up?
When she said that, it's almost like we're bringing you deep. Anything else you want to say?
Anything else? Don't worry, we are not going to have Rodney yell at everybody else.
That was kind of weird, though. I was kind of nervous, like, oh my God. And then I went and spoke in the mirror in the bathroom when Megan was like, "Where you at? I'm doing something I'm not comfortable with."
I couldn't hear. When we were down there, I could hear it. I'm like, is he really in the mirror?
No, and to that point, too, we understand, like
Rodney is terrified of mirrors.
He's always terrified of mirrors, but there's so much stuff that, like, because we're doing like an episode, right? Now in this scenario, like when we film it.
Yeah, I don't think that made it to the episode.
If we were to give like every bit, you guys would have had a YouTube video that is like 2, 3, 4 hours long.
Right.
So it's like we had to cut it up enough to where it just showed kind of like how our night went. It showed the ins and outs,
the highlights,
and then of course at the end we went to see the client's review and then the actual like findings. We wanted to give you guys that. So traditionally these things, like, we try to cut it down to where
we investigated for like
30 minutes.
4 hours,
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of footage, a lot of things that we couldn't make it into the video.
It's hard too. It's like so the other part that I like doing is film. Like I love making films and skits and stuff like that. But it's hard, like, to like sometimes like the hardest part even for actual movie making is like you'll have a scene that is like so much your favorite scene, but sometimes you got to cut it just to make that time slot. Like I love watching him like freak out in the mirror.
Did you?
Yes.
I didn't get to see it.
I got you.
All right, send it to me.
And going into, like Rodney's got a fear of mirrors.
Mhm.
So, he put that fear aside. You have to, when you go into, even if you have a fear, no matter what it may be, in this general area of research, you have to put all fears aside.
I'm just saying, this team, like, I can wrestle with snakes. I can do anything. I can do mirrors. I'm not afraid of ghosts. I don't like bugs.
That's not a lie. That is not a
We'll
lie.
have some insect spirits coming through. Then
We good.
As long as there's no bugs, Victor's okay. If a fly, spider, something like that comes in, Victor's gonna be running.
I did the whole mirror thing, although I'm definitely afraid of mirrors, and the reason why is because I had an experience as a kid where I was in Fresno, California. I was 11 years old, and me and my sister, we were staying at some friend's house. They were Jehovah's Witness. The mother was gone, so it was just us four. And I was looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden, an apparition's face or whatever just started going like this outside of my face. And ever since that day, I've been afraid of mirrors. But the reason why I did the whole mirror thing is because, like I said, I'm definitely afraid. The reason why I did that, sometimes these spirits, these entities, feed off your fear. So I was hoping by doing the whole mirror thing that I would be able to pull something out of that. And that's the reason why I did it. And plus, like you said, you got to put your fears aside, because this is not for the faint of heart.
No.
You go in there and you never know what you're going to get. Like Forrest Gump said.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. So.
Do you have any other questions? I think we can cover some of our equipment.
We haven't gotten any more questions, so if you guys want to just talk, whatever last few comments,
I like talking
start wrapping it up.
Okay, so the thing that they brought in, the Xbox Connect thing. If you all saw the episode, it was where it showed the wireframe thing standing on the couch, and so when they showed me this, I was like, "Oh, that is some cool tech! Like, I love it." And so for me, that scene was so magical almost, because there was a couple things that their laptop, their Xbox Connect setup got. One, it proved that, like, because we tested it here before we left, because I was like, oh, I want to see this. I want to try to manipulate. So I knew what it was doing. It goes back to the battery drain thing. We were in the middle of doing the investigation where she was filming me, the battery clip. And so we were going out. I stood in front and I used their laptop to charge my one of the handhelds, and we had the extra handheld downstairs. So I think with the technology where it picked up like something standing on the couch, and then us like getting in front of it and like trying to like manipulate it, I thought that was like the coolest thing. And then when it touched my hand, ooh. But they upgraded their rig to where now we can take that mobily. Do you guys want to talk about that?
We have, I'm sure anybody that's into paranormal research has, they've seen these SLS Connect cameras. They pick up body movement. They pick up,
The outline, really?
yeah, they pick up an outline of a body. We have built one of those cameras. We, like Victor said, we have made it portable. We have made it handheld. These SLS Connect cameras, they actually sell already pre-made online for anywhere between $300 to $600.
These guys are hardcore, and they made one.
Yeah, we made one. We put a lot of money into it, but it's well worth it.
I'm totally down with it, because I think it was so cool to be able to, and it picks up everything good. Like, because all the lights were out, I stood in front of it, it picked me up. Whatever was dancing on Wayne's couch, it picked that up. But
the Connect software that we actually were using, that we do use, it not only has, you have the general main screen, which if the lights are out, you can't see anything, but it too has a depth camera up in the top right corner when we're using it, and it shows anything that's there and anything that's not.
We have another question for Victor. When it touched your hand, did you feel a static charge or a drop in temperature or anything? Just curious.
I was so caught up in like the moment, because I wanted to disprove whatever was there. That's why I was kind of jumping in front of it. But the camera still kept picking up. I felt tingly. I don't know if it was like because of the heat of the moment, because I was sitting there trying to like comprehend. Like in my mind, I'm trying to think of like all the possibilities of what's going on. I felt colder. I felt weird, but then there was like and it was neat, because the moment after it touched my hand, I was like, hey, it's touching me. And then we started taking pictures. And
it almost immediately disappeared.
And when the light that happened behind me, it was neat because we didn't see that. I didn't me and Megan and I were in the room. And
we did not see it until we reviewed the footage.
That.
Yeah.
It was so freaking bright.
And it was not from any of the cameras or flashlights or anything.
Like when we're going to disprove something, it was one of the things that I couldn't put like any logical reason. I had no clue.
And that is in the video.
the Xbox picked that up. But did I feel anything like? No, I think like kind of going back to it.
You weren't really paying
I wasn't
attention.
really paying super hardcore attention. I was like,
I was just too excited.
What the heck's going on here? I did feel colder though, if that means anything. It was chilly, but it was also chilly as the night went on.
All right, so Victor, do you want to talk about our?
So we like the other cool thing with technology is we get to play with cool stuff that I like doing. So made a like you get to make stuff. And, so we got a thermal camera for next time when we get to go. I think it would be helpful once we're in there, so we can we had the laser thing and we were checking temperatures of the areas when we're in there. But I think like seeing like some of the other shows that do this, a lot of the time they catch stuff
On the thermal
on
cameras.
the thermal cameras. Yeah, that we would miss. So it's more tools to our arsenals, like kind of like the game plan. We got the wireless DVR system, which is going to be amazing because I think like the biggest part for us was setting that bad boy up.
Setting the DVR.
We had to run wires, and I was just like, okay, well let's throw this one through the window and like hang it down. So I think for us, it's like adding all these new little bits of technology.
Right.
Does a couple things. We could test like new stuff, and it can prove or disprove whether or not stuff works because we're going to these locations that people experience junk, and we're able to go, well, with all this tech we're bringing in.
Right.
Yeah.
And two, we got we have an SB7 Spirit Box.
Yeah, they got the legit
So
thing.
no more using the phone.
Yeah. So to see how that works,
Right.
right?
That's the most used spirit box, among Ghost Adventures and all these top paranormal groups. That's the one that they predominantly use, and that's one we got. So
Yeah.
And when we go into these investigations, we don't rely solely on one piece of equipment. We mix everything up. So if they catch something on something and somebody goes, well, oh, but somebody else catches something on something else, then that kind of like everything kind of reproves itself and validates itself.
Yeah. I'm planning on looking into a new device here real soon. It's an Oculus device. It is it actually helps the spirits communicate through electromagnetic fields. And really neat piece of equipment, and it actually it communicates. But the spirits are able to communicate with you using words that will light up on the screen. So it's something that me and Rodney have been researching into. They're not too expensive, but it's definitely something that I think would be a good add-on for a piece of equipment.
I think what it is, it has like thousands and thousands of pre-inserted words in there, and the spirit that feeds off this electronic, a magnetic field, they're able to choose what words that they want to pick out of those pre-inserted words, and it appears on that screen.
Definitely looking into getting lots of more equipment. Of course, we're still just building everything up. And that's why, of course, like I said, any suggestions on anything that you guys think that we need or could use, definitely we're open to that. Anything else? We're almost at an hour and 30.
I think
So
we're fine. If everyone's paying attention, we'll knock it out. You guys don't got nothing planned tonight.
No.
So
5 hours later.
restroom break.
Actually, while I'm up there, I'm gonna grab the SOS camera.
Yeah, bring it
Grab
in.
that in the SB7.
That way.
So we've the biggest thing about this is trying to like find different things so we can prove whether or not it works or doesn't work. One thing is something simple. I read online that like you can get like a little toy like this, and this is like a kid's toy, but like if you're communicating with something and you're telling, hey, touch this, and it's censored, it's soft. So like it senses like a movement, so you can communicate with it and go, hey, touch the ball,
Right.
touch the ball, and then like the slightest movement kicks it to go off. I think of some other stuff, other goodies we got.
Oh yeah, so
So the thought process with this, so when we're getting like electrical readings, right? This is like a mobile one that will, if you set it up, and I guess like the thought process is like if the client tells us, hey, this spot gets a lot of like I notice things, I see things. Well, we could set up our camera to record, and we could also set up one of these pods, and it'll go off if we're not in the room. So it gives us something to say, oh, something happened here. I'm trying to think of other cool tech that we got planned for whatever our next show is.
Our new equipment.
Yeah, a friend of mine does like photography, and he told me like because I was like because regular flashlights were like the cameras were picking them up when we're doing the documentary of us doing these investigations, and so we actually got suggested using red flashlights. It not only does that kind of look creepy on the camera, but you'll be able to see, and it won't really mess with the reflection. It won't mess with the quality of the recording. What else? And the cat. We have another thing too coming in. It's a radiation detector. So I guess that's something we talk about. We try to roll out everything possible. So we have a gas reader. We check for gas leaks. We check for CO leaks, and we try to make sure that like there's no issues like that could be causing somebody to be experiencing stuff. Because heaven forbid, like you think you're seeing ghosts and you're actually like tripping out on some type of natural gas.
here it is.
Oh, look at this thing. This is sweet stuff.
This is our handheld pistol grip, handheld SLS camera, Connect camera that we built. Like we said, we still have a few more minor modifications to it, but for the most part, it's ready to go. It has a battery pack for us to be able to run the direct power to the camera. And it's absolutely wonderful. That way it's not just setting in one spot. However, even though this is a pistol grip, to be able to hold it, you can actually turn this, and it is also a tripod to where you can sit it down and set it stationary somewhere.
Yeah, I think that with this, so originally we didn't have this for the Valley Creek investigation. We had it plugged up into a laptop, and the laptop, of course, you can't carry it. It's not feasible to carry around a laptop running an extension cord. And so, but what I like about this is we can, like, if there is something going on, we can catch a wireframe, we can interact on the go, or if we need to just drop it down and set it somewhere where we're like, hey, I was picking stuff up over here. Let's just drop this and then we'll leave and we'll see if it catches anything.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this thing.
Yes, this wonderful little piece of equipment, that's our SP7 Spirit Box. It does come, it works without a speaker, but it comes with a speaker. That the speaker itself is actually battery operated, as well as the Spirit Box, which magnifies the sound.
And again, this is just equipment that whenever, again, we go to a place that somebody feels is haunted, if anyone answers, we can actually take it down and we can test this equipment and see, oh wow, hey, we're clearly getting something.
Right.
If you're asking questions right now, it's going to be just a minute because Megan had to step out for just a second. Here, I'll go move to the chair.
Okay.
You can set it on a tripod if you want to.
Cool.
It's not going to break it.
I hope not. I'd cry. There we go. But yeah, some other tech that's on the way. I did some research. I want us to be safe, and I want to be able to make sure people know what we're getting into. So aside from that reader, we have a radiation Geiger counter on the way in, and so hopefully that'll be just another thing for the safety of the people that hire us in. And I use that term like loosely because we don't make any money off of this. This is anybody wants to come in and they need help. This is a free service that we provide. But we're just trying to get answers like you, and you have those scenarios. It's like, who do you call? I mean, Ghostbusters. Right? Did we get any other?
Well, yeah, we have a couple comments just about the cat. That is a big cat.
Thank you.
And then the cat is the best ghost detector of them all.
To work off the spirits or to get us answers. You definitely, I like the whole animal thing because they see things that we don't get to see as adults, just like children are more susceptible to see things that we can't see. So it's kind of like they fall in line with each other. So if I'm just hanging out there in the room and all of a sudden my cat starts looking at something and starts freaking out, I know I'm not alone. So that's awesome.
I have a very nice dog, and so if things ever get weird like that, I have a very good trained dog that I could take with us on these investigations, and he will just literally walk around. And I haven't took her on.
I don't think we're going to be taking any animals on investigation.
But if it ever gets down to it, we need to test the animal theory about it. We're covered. We got a cat and a dog.
All right. Did you guys cover all the equipment?
Yes.
Oh yeah, we covered a bunch of the stuff. We covered some of the stuff that's coming in still.
So this is the one that'll light up. Yeah. Something like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about the thing. So the thought process is once we set these up,
Yeah.
we keep one of these nearby so we could watch this. So this will kind of alert us if something came by. And then some of the other stuff, I think really that's it.
Of course, you have your handheld camera. I need to speak with the lady who lives above us about getting another camera that actually has night vision on it. I gotta talk to her. So yeah, I think that'll work.
This is it's like a kid's toy, but like you set it out and talk to whatever's in there.
Oh yeah, Rodney had stepped away when we were talking about all that.
Watch that. Eventually.
All right, you guys. Anybody have any more questions? Any more comments? Anything else that you'd like to get out there?
Help us with our next event.
Yeah, if you all know anyone that is facing anything, wants answers,
Have them reach out to us. If they want to remain anonymous, they can remain anonymous.
Exactly. We won't we would like to be able to do a video like we did with this one. But I mean, like if they want to be off camera, you don't have to be on camera.
Right.
Yeah. So
just go on investigation.
anybody that has anybody or anything that has anything going on, if they just don't want to be on camera, they don't want anything like that, we can definitely help them out without letting anybody know who they are, where they are, anything like that. Dwayne says, you guys are the best. I felt I was literally losing my mind. I feel vindicated. While people still doubt, I know the truth. Thanks to you all.
You're welcome. We are so glad to have met you and helped you with this.
All right, did you guys have anything else you wanted to add?
Just if we can get our next investigation lined up. Of course, definitely appreciate Dwayne with trusting people he didn't know to allow us to come to his house and try to prove that he was saying so.
Yeah, and we're regular everyday people. If you run into us on the street, feel free to hit us up, say hi. If you see the Hummer, take a selfie next to it.
Tag us on our Facebook, post it on our Facebook if you want to take a picture with the Hummer. We do have just one more question. Any Bigfoot hunters in the group?
You know what's kind of funny? That's right. We were literally, me and Rodney were just watching a documentary on Bigfoot last night.
And Nessie.
Yeah,
Nessie.
This monster, I believe in them all.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Bigfoot. I'm down to investigating anything. So
Yeah.
I'm the skeptic, remember? So yeah, I don't believe in any of it until I see it myself.
I would, I believe in otherworldly stuff, and that there's a variety or multitude of things that can include, Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, paranormal, you name it. I believe in just about everything. I would love to see an alien. I would kind of like to know more about Area 51, and the truth.
We're not raiding Area 51 though. Don't worry about that.
you have to sign a waiver for us.
Legally funded unless you want.
There's so many different things that I would love to do research on and experience. And it's just, in time, who knows? The possibilities are absolutely unlimited.
Somebody posted something funny. I see her laughing.
Yeah. Is that a ghost behind Victor? Yes, it is a Halloween decoration ghost.
Look into the box.
That's all right.
I'm not getting anything off the reader.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to our next investigation.
Yeah,
We're definitely hoping that we can get an investigation soon. Of course, we all know with the
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
ID-19.
It's COVID-19. With the coronavirus going around, of course, you're supposed to be quarantined, staying 6 feet away from each other. Yes, we're not practicing social distancing right now, but
We test all our people before they come in. So.
we made sure everybody was good before we started this.
Yes, I'm good.
And besides this, we have been staying quarantined, not going out unless we need to, and we do recommend that for everybody. So, of course, with all of this going on, we don't see any investigations probably coming up anytime soon because we do know that a lot of things are going on right now.
Right.
But, of course, we definitely ready to go out, ready to at least get things lined up, ready to go once everything is in the clear and safe for everybody.
Yeah, definitely stay safe.
Because safety is
Yes.
always number one on our minds.
That's the first thing we do before we walk into a place.
I'm
Yes.
going to be first at Acapulco. I've been following
Cool. All right. Well, I guess with that said, just keep an eye on our Facebook post. Share everything. Yeah, you don't understand how much it means to us to have you all liking our stuff, sharing our stuff. Our YouTube page, that's going to be our next thing that we need to work on. Just like and share if you could, subscribe.
Let all your friends and family know.
It helps out tremendously.
Word of mouth.
It keeps us going.
Exactly.
Represent the state of Kentucky with the new
E-Town
group. E-Town.
E-Town.
So even though we're from California, we love E-Town. We love Hardin County.
I'm from Kentucky. I've been here, lived here my entire life.
Well, I was born in California, but apparently that doesn't suffice that I'm from California.
Yeah, never been through the struggles.
I've lived here in Kentucky since 3 years old, so I'm a diehard Kentuckian.
Oh, we have greetings from Peru.
Peru. Nice. Welcome. That is awesome.
I'm down.
The fact that you're in the States, but somebody in Peru.
And we are also open to investigations outside of Kentucky. Of course, we got to get more funding for that, but we definitely, that is our goal eventually, to be doing investigations in other places eventually.
There's a multi-millionaire watching this stream right now. If you want to finance us to do this full time, we will put full credits towards you.
We'll air you in the next episode of TEPS.
Every commercial, we'll add commercials into the video, advertising the product if you need us to do that. We're down. We are open to things like that. But as far as like the investigation side of things, we have a hardcore belief we don't charge people for it. We're genuine. We want to help get down to the bottom of things, and for us, it's giving us a point to research. I mean, like we could wait till we happen to find a house that we move into to research the heck out of it, but sending us to these hot spots so we can throw our equipment in there and like tell you guys about our personal experiences. That's what's going to make this thing big. And I think for you guys, so you know, in the future, we're gonna every episode we'll do a live event like this, so you can answer questions, ask questions about the video, and
Questions in general.
Like there's so much that happens that we experience that we weren't able to capture, and so that's where this came to.
And we also have other investigators that were not able to join us on the investigation. Other people that have donated equipment. As Victor was saying, he has some friends that have donated equipment, and of course we always want to give them credits as well. You know, we're very thankful to anybody that's donated equipment, anybody that's brought in equipment, anybody that's helped us with our Facebook page, and number one, thankful to all of our fans, everybody watching, everybody taking their time to share our posts, share our pages, like, comment. Yes, lots and lots of love to everybody. Thank you so much for everything, every single day.
Well, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and cut it. And like always, we'll keep you posted on everything. Hopefully see you around town. Stay safe.
Later, guys.
Boom. And one more button.